Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is in good health and keeping themselves safe from the pandemic. These are the testing time for everyone. Uncertainties around us every day and night. It is fitting that we get more and more aware of what we are facing, that is COVID, as we know it. We have entered the third year of the COVID, and now we know much more that we did at the start of 2020. It is the information and knowledge that which is keep us safe. Therefore, to know more about how to keep COVID at bay by not fearing it, but by knowing more about it, we are having this invaluable session by Dr. Navneet Sood. Dr. Navneet Sood is Senior Consultant, Pulmonology and Sleep Medicine in Dharmshila Narayana Super Speciality Hospital, Delhi. Dr. Navneet Sood completed his post-graduation for Sir Gangaram Hospital, New Delhi in respiratory diseases and senior residency from Safdarjung Hospital, New Delhi. He has undergone fellowship training in sleep medicine under the aegis of Indian Sleep Disorder Association. He has worked with hospitals of national repute. His area of expertise are asthma, ILD, lung cancer, sleep disorders. Now it is my privilege to read out the message on the behalf of Dr. Mahendra Nath Pandey, Minister Heavy Industry, and Shri Krishan Pal Gurjar, Minister of State Heavy Industry. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is an initiative of the Government of India to celebrate and commemorate 75 years of progressive India and glorious history of its people, culture, and achievements. As part of this initiative, Ministry of Heavy Industries is celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav from 10th to 16th January 2022. Ministry of Heavy Industry is focused on developing a globally competitive, green, and technology-driven manufacturing sector, including automotive and capital goods sector, which propels growth and job creation. To achieve this vision, the minister has launched a series of initiatives, including the faster adoption in manufacturing of electric vehicles, FAME scheme, National Program on Advanced Chemistry Cell ACC battery storage, production linked incentive, PLI scheme for automotive and auto components, scheme for enhancement of competitiveness in the Indian capital goods sector, etc. As a part of celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Ministry of Heavy Industry, in association with its CPSCs and autonomous bodies, has planned series of events and activities at over 40 locations across the country during the week of 10 to 16 January 2020, focusing on themes of action at 75, achievements at 75, ideas at 75, resolve at 75, and freedom struggles in areas of innovation, manufacturing excellence, and Atmanirbhar Bharat, environment and sustainability. Swachh Bharat, Swasth Bharat, unsung heroes of freedom struggle, etc. The events include inauguration, new product launches, technology demonstrations, technical exhibition, seminars, webinars, expert lectures, yoga and meditation sessions, health camps, cultural programs, cleanliness drive, and competitions among children on freedom struggle and movement, etc. It has been emphasized to all units of the ministry to follow whole of government approach and ensures people participation in Jang Bharatdari in the events and activities in the week-long celebrations. Directions have also been issued to ensure COVID-19 social distancing, hygiene protocols during the event and activities. We urge everyone to participate in the planned celebration of Ministry of Heavy Industry from 10 to 16 January 2022 under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Thank you, sir, for the message. Before we begin the session, I would like to call ICAT CBO, Ms. Pamela Tikku, for the welcome address. Ma'am.
Thank you, Shimona. Thank you so much. It's very important session for all of us today. And we are privileged to have Dr. Navneet Sood with us. So distinguished speaker and guest, Dr. Navneet Sood, Senior Consultant, Pulmonology and Sleep Medicine, Dharmshila Narayana and Super Speciality Hospital. Dear ICATians, a very good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure for ICAT to organize this event as a week-long celebration of Ministry of Heavy Industry under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav which was announced by Ministry of Heavy Industry between 10 January to 16 January. This is a celebration which is continuing throughout this year of 75th year of celebration of independence of India. Pandemic 2021 is a word which we probably were not very aware of it before 2020 or 2019, late 2019. The word pandemic and COVID-19, Omicron, Delta variant, mutations, strains, have all been added to our vocabularies over the past 1.5, 2 years. Since 2020, we have seen that we all have suffered one way or the other way by this dreadful pandemic which has spread all across the economies, all across the classes of people. It has not spared anybody, irrespective of class, religion, creed. And it has had a very severe impact, both physically and emotionally, to each one of us. I think the impact of COVID-19 will be seen in next 5, 10 years, where our children have not been able to go to their regular schools for last 2 years. They have not been able to undertake regular physical activities because they are homebound. They have lost interaction of their friends, their colleagues, their teachers. All they know is a virtual world through which they are undertaking their classes. And it is a serious situation, and we all need to address the post-pandemic scenarios that we need to understand and how to cope up with. We as individual, as a community, as a family, and as our next generation. This is an unprecedented situation, and especially in India, we saw a lot of activity and fervor of growth and new initiatives taken by government, and India was on a very impressive growth path, although industry did face economic slowdown due to various reasons. But I think government has taken good initiatives and path-breaking steps in addressing the impact of COVID-19 for India. Arogya Setu app, which has become the norm of the life now, has proven that it really helped an awareness and dissemination of information and making people aware of this COVID-19. India has made strides in their vaccination drives. We have demonstrated that not only are we able to capable of supplying vaccination to a one of the world's largest population in the world, and we have been successfully also supporting our neighboring countries and other countries by supplying vaccinations. So on organization and individual level, we have to be very careful, and we have to be very vigilant about the impact of COVID-19 that will have on our organization, as our individual, as a culture of the organization, and how to cope up with this and build up a spirit of oneness after this whole COVID pandemic ends. We know that we have been used, as human beings, we are very social, and we are used to a lot of human interface, human interaction. And there is, I think, because of this COVID-19, we have lost that human touch, human interface. And we all are going through a very different scenarios where we are missing that human interface and human interaction, both at family levels, at our social level, and also at our organizational level. Coronavirus is a disease which is caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we are currently undergoing through a third wave in India and globally also. So the Omicron is spread like a wildfire. The cases are increasing like it never happened before. We have the positivity rate of 30% now in Delhi. Out of 100 people, 30 people are being tested positive. But the good thing about it is that the severity of Omicron so far has not been experienced as severe as Delta, but we are not yet sure about what it is going to lead to. We have seen people recovering in 6 to 7 days in Omicron stage, while in Delta phase we had very severe situations experienced, especially in Delhi. It was a hell. So this infection, we all know, spreads through mouth, nose, via liquid particles which are emitted during speaking, coughing, singing, and breathing. So we need to be very sure about how to protect ourselves and people around us. We become oblivious of the fact that our slightest of mistake or slackness might impact the health of so many people. I see that the mask culture which has happened because of COVID-19, when the waves come and there are severities of cases, then people become aware and conscious and they are very careful in putting up their mask. But the moment the cases come down, I find that people become relaxed. They put their mask around their necks, under their noses. It's more for the public perception that people are putting on the masks. And that's why we see that there has been a large spread of Omicron in India, especially in Delhi, and it is spreading everywhere. Today, the rate of spread is so high that every second person, third person you talk about has a person in their family or in their vicinity who are impacted. Stage 1 was a novice stage. We didn't know what coronavirus is and how to protect ourselves. So there was a large fear factor involved in it. And then we became a little relaxed because phase 1 did not touch so much in India. But in Delta phase, we saw the hell that we went through. Hospitals, the whole medical system failed. The whole health system failed because the caseload was so high. And that's the fear that we all have, that even Omicron, even though it is not severe, but it should not impact the healthcare system. The number of hospitalizations should not increase, because we are seeing that past few days the death rates have increased and the hospitalization rate has increased, because we have all kind of people who have some comorbidities, they have certain health issues. Those get aggravated because of the infection that they get, and hence the hospitalization gets is required. Most of the people in Omicron have recovered from home care only, and we have to be careful about it. We have to protect ourselves, our family, our colleagues, and be aware of the COVID protocol. Please wear your masks carefully. I request that people should wear N95 mask when in public places, along with another mask or double masking, and maintain social distancing. Um, we know we are social human beings and we like to socially interact, and we are missing the social interaction for so many years now, 2.5 years, and we wish to mingle with people, but it has a cost. So please be careful about it. Please exercise certain caution. I would like to wish this webinar today, which will be delivered by Dr. Sood. With his immense experience and expertise, you will come to know about how to stay healthy, how to remain healthy, and how to protect yourself. This celebration under our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav for the Ayushman Bharat is a very good step by ICAT, and I thank Director ICAT and ICAT team headed by Hemant Bura, Kanika, supported by Kanika and Shimona, and the ICC team supported by Anurag Jain and Vibhu for bringing this webinar to all of you today. Once again, be safe, be healthy, and stay positive. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Now it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Navneet Sood.
Hi, good morning all. Am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So first of all, good morning to you all. So some sun is also brightening. Sun is also now coming out. Hopefully, we'll have this pandemic or at least this wave over in few days' time also. So just a few topics regarding the COVID wave, which we are experiencing at the moment. Lot of things have been already been described by Madam Pamela. Just a few technical medical things, and I'd like to you to interact uh, as long as possible. As I think interactive session is much better than maybe presenting a lecture sort of thing. I'll just give you a brief of what we have faced in this wave in the pandemic, and what can be the outcomes, and how can you prevent them, and maybe the possibly the next wave also. So as already been, you all know what the world is going through since 2019-20, the COVID-19 pandemic, which is now going on for almost 2 years. So as already described, the first and second waves were very harsh uh, to all the patients as well as to the healthcare workers. Even we were going on the rounds, looking at the patients and thinking about them, what they were thinking. Psychologically, most of them were down. They were depressed. They were thinking, what is going to happen to me? And a lot of people did lose their life, as well as some and lot of people who survived that second wave uh, were having persistent signs and symptoms, and there were residual diseases which were present in their lungs as well as other body parts. Now, what is this wave which is coming? So first of all, I'd like to share with you that don't take this Omicron wave lightly. Although Omicron is a milder variant, very mild variant compared to the Delta and Delta Plus variants which were there earlier. But mind you, it is not only Omicron which is infecting at the moment. So some part of it, say 20-30% of the people are still getting infected with the Delta and Delta Plus variants also. And those who got not vaccinated or partially vaccinated are still at very high risk of getting uh, really sick and maybe getting into ICUs. So we have 2-3 people over here who are in 2-3 patients who are in ICU on, and one is on ventilator, and we don't know what is this, either Omicron or Delta virus. So the only dilemma with this thing is you never know whether this is what a patient has contracted, whether this is an Delta virus or an Omicron virus. So the best way to uh, not get confused is one is just take it as a normal COVID infection, and if the symptoms are getting worse, then you consider it as a serious disease. So don't think that it will be Omicron and go away. So please take proper care. If any of you or your near ones get infected with the COVID viruses. Now coming on to Omicron. So what is Omicron? Omicron is one of the mutant strains of COVID viruses. So mutant, if in simple terms, I would say mutant is, say, some societies have higher heights. Say Caucasians have some high heights. Then there are Indians. Then you have evolution. Then there is something. So there is some changes in the genetic makeup which leads to a different mutant strain, which may now what is the significance of that mutation? Significance is that the as the COVID came in, your bodies also got exposed to the COVID viruses. The body general population started to have antibodies against the COVID, and all of us were in some way having some immunity against COVID after the second wave. So now once that virus mutates, and now it is an Omicron virus, so we are assuming that most of the third wave is being led by the Omicron, and some Delta Plus, the residual ones. So the body has immunity to the earlier mutant strain. Now the strain has again muted, and this is a different strain. So body will have some cross infectivity, cross affectivity, but it will not be absolute affectivity against this mutant strain. Uh, so that is the importance of it, that even if vaccinations were there and you had had earlier COVID infections, your immunity might not be helpful in case you have got exposure to the Omicron, because this is a new mutant strain. As Madam Pamela has already told, that the only good thing about Omicron is that it is a much milder strain of COVID. Most of the people, in fact 95%, 99% of people will uh, not get hospitalized for Omicron if they get Omicron. Some people do have some lingering symptoms like dry cough, which goes on for 10-15 days, but that should be, that should not worry the medical facilities, medical healthcare people, and you also. There should not be panic there. But the only thing is that you don't know whether this is Omicron or not. So that is why I've already told you, once your infection is getting or your symptoms are getting worsened, or your saturation is oxygen saturation is going down, your cough is there, generalized body ache is very severe, high grade fever is there, I think you must get definitely evaluated. You might be having a delta strain, you never know. So don't think that everything is Omicron. um, so this is about Omicron and what is the immunity like. So what are the effects of Omicron, or what are the signs and symptoms which you might feel, है ना? So slightly different from what we had earlier seen. Earlier people used to have loss of taste, loss of smell, then cough, then features involving lungs, low oxygen levels, uh, significant high grade fevers, 102, 103 sort of fever. Those sort of symptoms are little less in Omicron. You have mild malaise, you have body ache, dry cough is definitely there. Some flu-like symptoms are also there, but it is slightly different from the earlier one, where chest symptoms and high-grade fever was prominent, as well as loss of taste and loss of smell. While in this case, you have a generalized malaise, body ache. Those symptoms which are normally associated with normal viral etiologies. Um, so supposedly, so what do you do with if you get Omicron? One is that don't worry, don't panic about it. If your oxygen levels are fine, you're not having very high grade fever, it will go with support. It will go away with supportive therapy. Do get definitely get a consult with your physician, so that he considers it significant to get you evaluated further or not. Otherwise, it will go away. Now, but the only thing is, uh, the next thing is you need to take care of the elders in the house. So the only concerned population with Omicron at the moment is basically the elders and those having comorbidities, the vulnerable group of people who were earlier also vulnerable, those with immunosuppression, diabetes, hypertension, chronic heart diseases, chronic kidney diseases, chronic lung diseases, and maybe possibly the elderlies. Now, once they get infected, you don't know, we don't have enough data to say that it will still be a mild disease. So please do take care. Uh, don't panic, but I think just be careful. As Madam Pamela had already told you, the important thing is to wear your masks. Masks are the most important thing. Hand sanitization, mask, and social distancing. I am seeing a lot of people not worried about uh, this infection, because they think, because as the media, the politicians have also told them that it is a mild sort of disease, you don't need to worry. I think uh, the social responsibility else also has to come through to you. You may be young, you might not have some severe disease, but you might give it to somebody in your house who's your parents or your grandparents. So that thing, or your neighbors, or anybody who is vulnerable to these infections or severe disease. So kindly take care. I think masks should be your now part of the lifestyle. You should not be out of your house without a mask. Supposedly, say when we drive a car, we always wear a seat belt, and that is a must. So I think mask should also be a must for you. Eh, if not for you, for others also, it is also important. You might transmit the disease, you might not have symptoms, you might transmit to a person, and then he might land up in an ICU. So please be careful, wear your mask, wash your hands completely, sanitize it when you come from outside, and maintain social distancing. That is absolutely not visible at the moment. Lot of festivities going on, lot of poll rallies I see, election rallies, although election commission has now stopped those election rallies, but I think it should come from the society itself. uh, you should be able to see what is your social responsibility. Coming on to what are the effect of vaccination, so I think most of you would have had at least partial vaccination, if not 2 doses of vaccinations. So I would request you all to have vaccination, even if it may not completely be effective against stopping the infections of Omicron. It will definitely reduce the severity of the disease. So vaccinations in that way are absolutely must. Uh, that is a brief about Omicron and the COVID wave which we are having. I would now like to answer your questions, whatever they are, and then we can discuss other things also in between. Hello.
Yeah, I think they are trying to raise the hands for the questions. Shimona, can you coordinate the questions answer session?
Yes, ma'am. I'll just. Ma'am, there's no question answer round actually for this session. So,
Okay.
Yeah, let's make it interactive. So we won't get an opportunity of such an eminent speaker again and again. So
okay.
if people have any questions, they can send it to me or Shimona on WhatsApp, and we'll speak out and discuss this with Dr. Sood.
Okay, sure, ma'am. Yes.
So, Dr. Sood, can you, till the time they start collecting questions, can you suggest what should be a medical protocol in terms of, medication and supplements and diet?
So the thing is, the treatment part, which was which we were using in the earlier waves, is almost the same as what we are now using, except for the fact that not a lot of medications are required in this wave. It's just a symptomatic treatment. Most of the cases are mild cases. They have mild sore throat, cough, those sort of things, and some sort of medication, symptomatic treatment does the job well, except for the very few who do get severe disease. Then we have some new medications which have come up from the last time, which were not present because the research is going on COVID. So from last time we have 2 or 3 drugs which have been approved by WHO, and then we are using those monoclonal antibodies and few other drugs which can be used in mild to moderate cases, in severe group also. But I think at the moment the picture about treatment of Omicron is quite hazy, as the data is not enough. The Omicron has come out in about last 1 or 2 months only, and data to suggest that this drug will be effective against Omicron or not will need another maybe 3-4 months, or a significant amount of data should come from somewhere. Uh, so that is the only thing. Otherwise, symptomatic treatment and some superadded infection, if there, can be taken care of with antibiotics if need be with your physician's consult. These are the treatment options which are available for the Omicron. Otherwise, I don't think much significantly different treatment protocols will be there, because it is, after all, a COVID only. The variant is Omicron, but still it is a COVID virus.
And they should continue with supplements which were earlier prescribed during the time of Delta, like zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C.
I'd say for vitamin D, you can have some exposure to the sunlight. We also go to hospitals, and then we come out of the hospitals when it is dark. We don't get exposure to the sunlight. One thing is that. The other thing is too much of supplements is also not recommended, because everything has a toxicity. So if you're taking it for maybe say 3-4 months, then you might stop it. But otherwise, let this wave go away. Maybe in 15-20 days, I am expecting this wave to be almost over, and then you can stop those supplements also. But till that time, you must have your nutrition absolutely. Nutritious food should be taken, as well as healthy habits and exercise should be done. It is difficult to say this because you don't go outside or gyms are closed, but you can do some exercise at home also. Try making your lifestyle changes. Don't use lifts. Try taking stairs. Those sort of things will also help you have a better lifestyle and improve your immunity. So target should be to improve your immunity as such. Even if the pandemic is there, if immunity is good, then possibly the effects of immunity will effects of this thing infection will be quite less.
Thank you, doctor. I have some questions which I have received. So I'll start one by one. Is it advisable to visit hospital for precautionary dose?
I think you should. That is a tricky one. For the fact that the disease, the infection, this Omicron infection is very, very sort of infectious sort of thing. So if you are not able, if you are going to some place where social distancing is not being able to maintain, say supposedly some government setup or in a private setup where there are a lot of people, I would rather suggest you to wait for another 2-3 days or at least 5-10 days when the load of the patients is lower. That will help. I'd suggest you to go to that place only where you will be able to maintain social distancing and you will have complete protocol of the COVID being followed. Otherwise, in vulnerable areas at the moment, it is quite infectious. So you might as well get the vaccine, but might get the infection from that site only. So be careful from where you are taking your vaccine. And I would suggest a trick: go at odd time, or a time where other people are not there, or the OPDs are on the lower side. So the basic aim is to reduce your exposure to the infections if they're there. Because vaccine, even if you get a vaccine, it will take some 15-20 days to start working. So I don't think that will, the risk benefit ratio at the moment, the kind of infectivity we are having 30-35%, and that is also very conservative. I would rather say that about 50-60% of people would have infections. So I would say wait for a few days and then get a precautionary dose if you are not able to maintain the social distancing at the vaccination site.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. The other question that I have received is, how is our digestive system affected by Omicron?
So viral diseases as such affect your digestive system. You have a lot of acidity, you have tummy upsets, you have diarrhea. So this is basically the same as part of the other viral disease. The only thing is that you must take care of the hydration part of it, because in winter you normally tend not to take too much of fluid, and with the digestive system and other systems involved in the viral diseases, you might get dehydrated and more prone to infections. So keep your hydration levels up and eat healthy. Don't eat from outside at the moment. I would suggest not to eat from outside for another 15-20 days at least, and eat semi-cooked food. If you have infection, then try not to eat raw food. Eat semi-cooked or cooked food only.
Thank you, doctor. So semi-cooked, for example, fruits, should people impacted with Omicron or have
You
fruits
can
or not have fruits?
you can have fruits, but I'd like you to stop salads for 10-15 days. Fruits are normally covered sort of things, so likely
Okay.
infection part is a little lesser. But vegetables, like if I say I'm going to have carrot or something like that, it is difficult to digest one. The other thing is, so if digestive system involved, the raw things are difficult to digest.
Hmm.
Some cooked food or semi-solid food are really easy to digest. So try to increase those things for the moment, and by 10-15 days when this settles down, then you can, or your abdominal system is fine, then you can shift over to salad and fruits again.
Thank you. Another question is COVID home test kit accurate? Antigen test.
So antigen is as such also accurate, is that the only thing is it will give you lot of false negatives. So you get yourself tested, and if if it is about 30 to 40% accurate, and that is not because of the kit is false, it is the general thing in that the antigen tests are, a lot of antigen tests will be negative and RT-PCRs will be positive. RT-PCR cannot be done at home at the moment. So I think don't worry about it. Home kits, uh, if antigen test is positive or you are positive on home kits, then you are definitely positive. But if it comes out negative, then you are not, then you cannot say that you are definitely negative. You still
Negative.
can be positive on RT-PCR.
Thank you, doctor. Another question is by Sogata Pal. In air travel, if one or two passengers have COVID, what is the possibility that rest of the passengers will be affected from COVID as all are in closed chamber?
Yeah, so that is why basically, if you see, the government shuts down the cinema halls first of all. So it is almost the similar condition in air travel also. Although in aeroplanes you have HEPA filters, but since you are sitting in same chamber and you are not having social distancing, obviously, and lot of people do also remove their masks and in the air travel, which I had done last year, I'd seen once. So if it is absolutely necessary, then you will have to go by air travel. Otherwise, this is a dangerous site of infection. Air travel is definitely, I'd say, is a good source of infection, because then you are sitting in not in close proximity to everybody, and if say supposedly one or two people have it and they remove the mask, then you will have it. Everybody will be exposed to it. Whether you get a disease or not is a different matter, but you will have prolonged exposure to the virus, because travel time will be at least 1 or 2 hours, and that is good enough exposure time.
Thank you, doctor. The other question is from Anurag Jain. Can COVID-19 be caught from person who has no symptoms?
Yes, it can be caught from person who has no symptoms, only because if he is positive, the COVID is in his airways or in his nasal cavity. He's taking in breaths. He might be yawning. He might be having one or two sneezes. Uh, Even if he has no symptoms, he can still transmit disease.
So there are two questions which are related. I will read both of them together. How many days of isolation are sufficient to resume after infection? 5, 8, or 10 days? And the second similar question is, after COVID report came positive, how many days one need to be in isolation?
So the earlier protocols used to say 14 days, and that is a sort of average sort of thing, because we had a lot of patients who were COVID positive for long period of time. For three months, some patients were positive. But by and large, after 10 to 14 days, the person is non-infectious. Even if he is COVID positive, the person becomes quite non-infectious because one, he is in isolation. The other is the COVID load. Generally, if the person is not having any symptoms or if he's not worsening, the COVID virus load is also decreasing significantly. He tend to become non-infectious, but he will not be non-infectious till the time he's COVID negative. Regarding Omicron, the data is too small, but whatever we are seeing is that about 5 to 7 days isolation is sufficient enough. UK yesterday has decreased the isolation time from 7 to 5 days, and we are having here our ICMR data is showing 7 days. So I think 5 to 7 days, and I think 7 days is sufficient for Omicron at the moment, it seems.
Thank you, Doctor. One couple of more questions. So this question is from Dr. Madhusudan Joshi. My parents are having pain in the arm. Has it something to do with vaccination? It has been almost 9 months for my mother and 6 months for my father after second dose.
So if the pain is from the time when vaccination was there, then you might have a small bit of neural injury, because the vaccinations, when they are given, they are almost blind procedures. So you might hit a nerve when you give the vaccination, and that might take some long time to heal. So if it is present since that time, then it might be related to vaccination. But if it is a recent thing, then it is very unlikely to be related to vaccination.
Sir, good morning. This is Dr. Joshi. Just to continue what ma'am has asked, actually, they were having no pain at the time when the vaccination was done. It was hardly for 1 or 2 days. But lately, we have heard in a couple of news channels or something that people have developed off late some pain in the arms. So my both the parents are having the pain, and they actually have been discussing with me since yesterday that I think it is because of vaccination. So I just wanted to make sure that it doesn't happen like that, because they have been listening to some news items where they say that people have pain in the arms eventually after a few months.
No, unlikely, boss. You don't have any logical data to say that. Unlikely that they will have this thing with the vaccinations. You might, that is what I was telling you. You might have hit something. There was a hematoma which was formed at that time that has got consolidated and it is pressing onto some nerve. That is one thing. But if somebody is having pain in both the arms, I think vaccination would not have taken on both arms. Very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Okay. So we must consult a ortho then, right?
Yeah, I'd rather say you consult a neurologist rather than orthopedist.
Yeah, it's a muscular thing. Yeah.
Take care. Thank you, sir.
There are two questions which are related, one by Samir Shigalkar and one by Sitaram Kashyap. Which test do you recommend to ensure Omicron infection, and what is the incubation time? And the other question is there any test which indicate its variant, either Delta or Omicron?
So this is what I told you earlier also. There is no specific test for Omicron. You are either COVID positive or negative. So once you are COVID positive, then the sample which you are COVID positive is in some cases sent for gene sequencing, which will tell you whether this is Omicron or not. Some kits are coming up, but those are not reliable at the moment, and it hardly matters, and gene sequencing will not be possible. We have, from our hospital, we have sent about 50 samples for gene sequencing. The government has refused to do gene sequencing because then that does not help in any sort of management, and that the cost issues will be too high. Till a portable sort of kit from home kit comes, you will never be able to know whether this is Omicron or Delta. So that is why I had told you earlier, once you are having symptoms and they are worsening, don't wait for it to worsen further. You might have a Delta virus. You might not have a Omicron at all, and then it will be difficult to treat if it is in a later stage. So take precautions. The first and foremost thing is avoid infection. Whatever infection is, the masks and hand sanitization and social distancing, these three should be part of your daily life now. And Omicron gene sequencing will not be available for the mass people, I'd say, and don't think that you'll be able to know what is your disease, whether it is Omicron or Delta, till a time good sort of diagnostic kit comes along, and that is quite it comes in less amount of money also is required in that case. Gene sequencing is an expensive thing.
Thank you, doctor. One question is there that the cough, cold, and sore throat is very common in this season. How can it be differentiated from Omicron, and how prominent is it for kids, small kids?
So you cannot differentiate. As simple as that, you will not be able to differentiate whether that is because of normal flu or it is because of Omicron or COVID. So either way, the treatment is almost the same in both the cases. The only thing is, once the condition starts to worsen or you have those telltale signs of low oxygen, high grade fever, or intractable cough, then you must get yourself tested for COVID. And if it is COVID positive, then further treatment, if the condition is worsening, you might be advised a CT scan of chest or something like that. So those sort of things can be done. Normal flu will go on its own. So and take it as if Omicron is there also, then it will also go on its own. It's a almost prognosis wise almost same as a normal flu, but the problem is you will never know whether this is normal flu or Omicron or Delta virus. Regarding kids, I think kids are not getting too much of affected, but the point is, even if one kid out of 1,000 gets infected and goes to a severe disease, that is also a good number. Nobody likes any. If your kid is one of them, then 1 out of 1,000 is not of concern, no? Because you are the one of them. So I would like you to keep the kids away and make them understand the value of this thing, masks and social distancing.
Thank you, doctor. Another question from Manisha Sharma is, what strength of mask or face coverage is required to avoid catching infection?
So at the moment, N95 mask is a must. Simple surgical mask or a cloth mask will not be sufficient. So one thing you keep in mind, masks do not give 100% protection. So say if I wear an N95 mask, I am taking in breaths. So if I have if I pass through somebody who has got COVID and there is a virus load which I pass through, the mask decreases the load which I inhale significantly. So the quality of mask will determine what virus load I inhale. So I think at the moment, with the kind of infectivity we have, N95 mask should be worn by all when they go out, and the cloth at the moment, don't use cloth masks and surgical masks. Once this infectivity comes down, then I think cloth mask and surgical mask will be sufficient enough.
I think there is a question being asked by Mr. Kalia. Let me see. He has been typing it. No, there is no question. Anurag, you are asking a question. If I had COVID-19 9 months back and now I am fully vaccinated also, what are the chances of getting COVID again?
Same as a person who has had no COVID that time also. So it does not give you any immunity. Vaccinations, from what I have seen, are a process to decrease the severity of the disease rather than infection part of it. So you might still have COVID again, and we have seen a lot of people who were COVID positive in first wave, second wave, and in fact 2 or 3 patients of mine are COVID positive in the third wave also. So there are 3 patients with me at the moment who were COVID positive in all 3 waves. So once they were positive, they then went back negative, then they were positive in second wave, and then they were positive in third wave also. So don't think that if you have vaccinations and everything else and you had had COVID, that you will not have COVID again. There is no surety about that thing.
Thank you, doctor.
The
I have
only,
one question. Yeah, sorry.
the only thing is vaccinations will reduce the severity of disease. That will be definitely there.
Thank you. I have one question. This is regarding the CT value. So the CT value report which is issued, there are 3 CT values given: E gene CT value, RTRP gene CT value, and N gene CT value. So what is the significance of these 3 CT values, and what is the severity assessment based on these values?
So I would say don't worry about CT values, whichever CT value you consider. CT values are basically the doubling time of the viruses. So lower the CT value, the doubling time is more. So supposedly somebody has a CT value of 14 and somebody has a CT value of 28 or 30. So a person who has SAT CT value of 30 has a very low viral replication and very likely to recover or get COVID negative earlier than maybe a person who's had CT value 14. But that does not indicate anything regarding severity of disease. So a person who has had CT value of 28 may still have severe infection, and then a person who has a CT value of 14. So I think you all of you don't get confused in the CT values. A positive is a positive and a negative is a negative, and that should be the clarity in your mind. Don't worry about CT values. What do this? CT values we normally, as physicians, normally see only in some patients where the patient is not getting COVID negative even after 1 to 2 months, and then we see what is the CT value, if it is increasing, if it is decreasing. So those are the parts where, and maybe some other specific treatments are to be started. Otherwise, in normal population, CT value has no role.
Thank you, doctor. One more question that I have received is singly N95 enough, and how long same mask can be used?
So basically, in a good quality N95 mask in an area where there is proper social distancing and other protocols are being followed should be enough. But supposedly somebody has to go to a place where social distancing is not possible. Supposedly somebody has a patient who's admitted, his relative who's admitted in a hospital, and you are going there, then I would like you to have a double mask. Wear a N95 mask and wear a surgical mask above the N95 mask. So it will be a double mask that will be required in places where you absolutely have to go and there is a significant chance of getting infected.
So, for example, in office environment, when we are in office environment, we don't know who is symptomatic and asymptomatic. So in such an environment, you suggest that we should have double masking and N95 and the surgical mask?
So in case you have a closed office, I think most of the offices are closed offices.
Yeah.
And that is the thing, and there is no ventilation. So I would suggest, so if somebody does not know whether what is the status of, and there are 100 people working in that same maybe area, so don't know whether 2 or 3, that is the similar situation what we have in the airplane which we had discussed earlier. So I would rather have a double mask with me rather than a single mask. Otherwise, I think in offices what you can do is you can have your ventilation somehow taken care of. Say if AC, if you can have 1 or 3 or 4 exhausts in a room where some people are working, that will be very helpful, more helpful than even masks. If the air is circulating, then chances of getting infected are little less. But if that is not possible, then I think for the moment, for the kind of infectivity we are having, I think in the offices you should, if offices are doing offline jobs, then I think you should wear double mask.
That double mask cannot be cotton mask, 3-layer cotton mask. It has to be N95 and a surgical mask, right?
95 should be one of them. 95 has to be one of it. The other mask can be a surgical mask or a cotton mask, but one mask, the innermost mask has to be N95.
Thank you.
And
I have
regarding that thing, how long it can be used? It can be used for about 40 hours working time. So if you are supposedly doing office for 10 hours, then maybe for 4 days you can use it. But if you have a lot of infections, I would rather say dispose it in 1 day for few days at least.
But if we have a mask and we wear it N95 and we keep it in sunshine, can we reuse it or not?
No.
No?
That's not advisable. If there is a shortage of masks, then we use such things.
Okay.
But not to be used for too long. Sunshine will help something. This is a respirator actually, N95 is a respirator. In layman term, we call it a mask. So supposedly say some people will ask, can I wash it? Or says we can keep it in sunshine. So you can use it for 30-40 hours, but not more than that. The viral load or the pores will be clogged. The person who will be using it will have suffocation using this thing.
Okay. Yeah, I experienced my N95 mask, turning almost black during Diwali time. So, and when there was a lot of pollution, so that was scary as to how much of pollution does the environment have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely.
So I have received one question from Mr. S.K. Kalia. Doctor, I hope you have some time to take some questions more.
We can have one or two questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kalia is asking, I am done with 2 doses of vaccination. Last Saturday, I had very minor sore throat. Started gargling immediately. By Monday evening, minor running nose started. On Tuesday, got RT-PCR test done. It was negative. Now I am okay. Should I go for 3rd dose immediately or wait for some more time? Because COVID report, despite negative, it was mild flu.
No, you can start the process, but for the only thing is the points I had asked you earlier, the vaccine, the place where you are taking the vaccine should have full COVID protocols. Otherwise, you don't know how many people who are coming there for vaccination, how many of them are COVID positive. So if you have had flu and if the place where you are going to take vaccine is having full social distancing and the rush is not too much, then he can go ahead with the 3rd dose also.
So I have received one question from Devinder Kumar in which he is saying that I have a team size of 5 to 10 people. So if one of the person is tested positive, should the other people isolate or should we continue normal working?
I think the person who's got COVID positive should get isolated, and the other persons who are working with him, if any of them become symptomatic, they should get tested and then get isolated. Otherwise, for this, if there are no symptoms, then I don't think they should get isolated and get tested also.
Okay. If no more questions, anybody, if any more questions? I have not received any questions. So I think, Doctor, this is all. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. On behalf of ICAT team, I would like to thank you once again for sparing time to share more insight on this burning issue for COVID. I would also like to thank all the ICAT teams for attending this session. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.